Okay, for this video we're going to look at is an isometric sketch. Now an isometric sketch is very similar to that of a multi-view, and we're going to look at how they compare. So the object we had last time had a flat viewing to it. This obviously is not flat. It's seeming more 3D. But this was that front view. The top view actually were these two surfaces. And then the right side view was actually this surface and this surface, and how it appeared. Now we don't have to draw any hidden lines this time because you should never draw hidden lines on isometric. You should be able to see what is hidden. Now, I still have height, I still have width, and I still have depth. Those three axes, those three dimensions, I should say. Now they're being formulated into three axes where they're all meeting at one point. The multi-view was separated as three separate 2D drawings. This here is one complete three-dimensional drawing. Now, stated earlier is that we have 120 degrees between the three axes. Well, if you draw an arrow from here to here, that should be a 90 plus 30, that's 120. This right here is 60, and this is another 60, so that's another 120 degrees. And then I would have to also draw one from here to here. That's probably the only other spot where I haven't measured it 120 degrees. So make sure you know 120 degrees is actually, it can be found on a multi-view drawing. Excuse me, on an isometric drawing between the three axes. Something else to take note of is the horizontal line. In the earlier PowerPoint the video we looked at, there should be 30 degrees off the horizon. So from here to here is what it's talking about, and also from here to here. That should be 30 degrees. We are talking about sketching, so it should be about that same measurement. Now, let's pretend that we had a circular object on this part right here, and we're going to drill a hole straight through it. Well, first step in sketching a circle is to sketch a square, right? That's a previous note. What's the first step in sketching an isometric circle? Sketch an isometric square. See how it kind of goes along smoothly? So if we sketch an isometric square, we should be able to sketch an isometric circle. Again, use those same points, and then create the arc, create the arc, create the arc, create the arc. Again, that's if you're sketching and you need to help sketch. So we'll erase those lines. We have this hole now. It is a circle. An isometric circle, remember, looks like an ellipse. And so that's one other thing to make sure you take note of. The last thing I want you to notice is, I don't know if you remember, but when I did this sketch, I saved this line and this line until I got this point and this point. Those two lines that I just erased, they're called non-isometric lines. They don't fit along with the isometric axis. If I drew a cube as an isometric, anything that's not parallel, or actually on that line, those lines right there, anything that's not parallel with any of those lines, the height, the width, or the depth, like at that angle with parallel to those lines, if it's not parallel with those lines, it's a non-isometric line. It's not isometric. So earlier I stated, how do you locate non isometric lines? Well, you locate their endpoints. So here's one endpoint. I can find that it's made by isometric lines. It's made by isometric lines. And I can locate that one, again, made by an isometric line. Same thing for these 2 points. All these lines are parallel with the isometric axis. So I don't know what the angle is necessarily on an isometric. I might know it if on a multi-view, but a multi-view is flat. Isometric is not. So you take that endpoint and use it as a guideline for you to locate your endpoints and then connect them. And that's how you sketch a isometric.